To action pula. Oke, selamat datang ke episod yang terlalu lama tertunda. Perspektif Podcast bersama Steve Lumbasi. Saya mau mulakan satu tabiat yang baru sebelum saya mulakan temu ramah saya. Saya tidak pernah lagi bagi penghargaan kepada orang yang berada di belakang tabir lah. So Hafiz, thank you with the audio, sound. Chris di belakang kamera, di tepi kamera sebenarnya. So, saya punya guest hari ini adalah seorang belia yang masih lagi muda, tapi sesuatu yang mengimpreskan saya dengan dia ini adalah dia punya mindset yang bukan dari generasi yang sekarang lah. Dari Gen Z kan sepatutnya.
Ya, Gen Z lah sepatutnya kan.
Gen Z.
Yes.
So Gen Z adalah dari tahun 2000,
I think it's around 2010,
2010 kah?
yes.
2010.
Ya, sampai ke
Kalau
2000.
milenial adalah 90-an.
Yes.
Iya.
Gen Z
Sekarang adalah paling
2000
baru
something.
lah. Ya, 2000 something.
Ya.
So paling baru adalah Gen Z dan banyak isu yang saya perhatikan lah dengan Gen Z ini, negatif dan positif, which is sebenarnya interesting juga. Saya mengajar, saya masih ingat saya masih muda, tapi sebenarnya student saya masih at least 10 tahun lebih muda dari saya, dan saya kadang-kadang saya terlupa yang diorang itu berada di generasi yang seterusnya dari saya. Saya adalah millennial lah. Millennial, lepas tu ada Gen Z.
I think the latest one is Gen X kalau tak silap.
Gen X?
Yeah, I think so.
Mungkin. Tidak?
No? Oh.
Ada. Gen Z adalah latest kan?
Latest. I see.
So ada Gen Y.
Gen X was the first one, right?
X is the 80s.
The
X,
80s.
Baby boomers. Start with baby boomers.
Isn't baby boomers X?
X.
Yeah.
Oh, baby boomers is X. Oh. So, lepas tu baru Gen Y. Lepas tu millennial. And then Gen Z.
Yeah.
4 generation.
And that's really a long way to go sudah kan.
So Aaron,
Yes.
kenapa saya panggil kau di sini hari ini adalah sebab satu, because you are a very good student of mine. Saya ajar kamu berapa subjek sejak tu?
I think pharmacy saja bah.
Pharmacy ya, pharmacology kan?
Pharmacology, yes.
Pharmacology. Tapi saya dapat beberapa komen daripada lecturer yang Aaron ini adalah seorang yang student yang okay. Lepas tu I found out yang dia sebenarnya working juga masa dia jadi student. Dan bila saya selidik lagi, oh dia quite good in term of business sales. So mungkin kamu boleh explain diri kamu sedikit.
Well,
Dari sudut asal usul kau, kau punya family dan kau punya business lah.
alright. So, first of all, my name is Muhammad Aaron Daniel. That's my legal name.
Aaron Daniel,
Yes.
Aaron Aziz.
Yeah. But you just can call me Aaron. So, my background is quite simple background. Tidak macam like very special juga. Biasa-biasa aja. So, my family, my parents, they came from Kudat.
Kudat dua-dua.
Kudat. My mom from Kudat and my father is from Sandakan. So, what did they do is they migrated from their places, from Sandakan and Kudat. So, they migrated in KK and they want to grow a life here, a better life here in KK. So, kalau kita boleh simpulkan di sini, dari saya kecil, since I was young, I've already been exposed with a lot of things. Banyak sebenarnya. I mean, dari saya budak, saya sudah kena kasih expose benda yang budak sepatutnya tidak tahu. Apa yang saya maksudkan dengan benda itu kan is, contoh we can check about the reality, meaning financial. My parents is very strict about it, to be honest. Yeah, Diorang akan kasih tahu our financial situation is like this, and you have to be this. Diorang tidak mungkin. I think some parents kan, they actually try to cover it up, especially for their childrens lah. But for my parents kan, I don't think that they cover anything. I think the reason that why I'm being me today is because of how they taught me since I was young. Sebab dari kecil lagi I was tidak kena filter anything. Yeah.
Ya, Gen Z selalu, kalau kami bincang sesama kami, bukanlah kami klaim yang kami ni uncle-uncle sudahlah kan, tapi when it comes to Gen Z, mostly we will complain on entitlement, weak,
Yeah.
mentally,
Yes.
and then manja, apa lagi, spoon feed.
Yes.
Those qualities lah, to be honest lah,
Yes.
in our point of view. Mungkin ada yang tidak setuju, tapi bagi kami selalu complain, especially when it involve education, the students in our college. Kami selalu rasa yang the new generation agak lemah dalam disiplin, agak lemah dalam mindset, mentality diorang. So bila satu dua orang saja yang mempunyai mindset yang berbeza, macam kau sendirilah, saya nampak macam lebih matang, and then lebih berdikari, boleh buat sesuatu tanpa kena bagi tahu A to Z. Kau kena bagi satu mission saja, then you know how to do
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
So kau rasa apa yang membezakan kau punya latar belakang dengan orang-orang yang dari generasi yang sama?
I think
Selain daripada family lah.
selain daripada family is, well, bukan my family saja actually exposed me with everything. I think it's one of my personality that I'm being observant about everything.
Observant.
Yes, I observe everything. So, well, plus my families, plus my surroundings, I can see that our younger generation nowadays kan, bukan je cakap lemah, malas, tapi I think diorang tidak berani untuk move forward with extra steps because of diorang takut beban.
Takut beban.
Yes, usually it's like that.
Dan ketakutan itulah juga yang mungkin kita panggil weakness kan.
Yeah.
Tapi itu adalah reality diorang lah. Sebab bukan kita mau salahkan, tapi dan bukan juga saya mau claim yang saya bagus lah ataupun generasi kami bagus tu. Ini adalah purely persepsi kami lah. Kalau ada orang yang mungkin tidak setuju, then it's your own opinion. Ini adalah persepsi kami. And then a few other people yang at the same generation lah. Apa sudah kita cakap tadi tu? Perbezaan kan?
Perbezaan. Yes.
So kau punya perbezaan dari sudut surrounding kau, family kau, membuatkan kau
buka mata lah begitu.
Buka mata.
Yes. Not just family lah, to be honest. I mean, when I was in high school kan, I'm a person who makes friends with everybody bah. So I made friends with, the smart people. Not smart juga lah, kelas-kelas atas orang panggil kan kalau orang-orang kita.
Kau memang purposely, consciously fikir kau mau buat itu untuk improve diri kau.
Yes, that's number one. And number two is I also berkawan sama orang-orang yang mungkin tidak berapa, cerdik lah dalam pelajaran.
Kau berkawan?
Yes, berkawan.
Okay, berkawan.
Since I was form 1 until form 3. I think the biggest life-changing punya event yang I saw is that our younger generation nowadays kan, bukan sajalah dari segi since I said that I'm a very observant person, bila saya tengok kita punya younger generation nowadays, the huge crisis that is affecting our younger generation is terlampau kuat terpengaruh dengan kawan-kawan dorang. I have friends that masuk pergi masuk pergi belajar study di Australia, UK, United Kingdom, everywhere. But I also have friends yang dalam penjara. I also have a friends yang tidak kerja, dan I also have friends yang gila.
Yeah,
Yes.
Depression is another thing with this Gen Z.
Yes.
Depression sangat di sana sini sudah. Kenapa?
Yes.
Why?
I think it's because number one is dorang mungkin kalau saya punya point of view lah. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but in my view is that our Gen Z nowadays kan mungkin dorang terlampau banyak fikir. Mungkin salah satu sama dorang face a lot of social problems.
Social problems.
Yes, social problems like contoh lah. We take satu orang ni, satu student ni, perempuan, mungkin dia terkapal lah sama lelaki lain. And then the lelaki lain mungkin lagi tua dari dia, habis tu rasa sudah buat macam-macam, nak kasih tinggal. Rasa sudah kena kasih tinggal, I
Lepas
think
tu mau bunuh diri.
mau bunuh diri. Mungkin satu is dorang belum lagi cukup matang untuk have that kind of relationship. And then bila dorang ada that kind of relationship and then dorang face this kind of problem, dorang punya fikiran
Iya.
dia
Tapi kalau kita fikir dia punya punca sebenarnya akar umbi dia, the root cause of this orang bilang psychological punya condition kan. Adakah kau rasa dia datang daripada family juga akhir-akhirnya?
yes, I
Sebab
think so.
dengan yang ibu bapa parents backup anak dia kalau ada masalah di sekolah, dengan tidak mau kena rotannya,
itu
dengan yang
issue kan.
dengan western style yang no beating your kids please, we need to love our kids, bla 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 bla. And then okay lah, sayang semua, buat salah pun kasih biar, kalau diorang jajal kasih jatuh-jatuh barang pun biasalah tuh budak-budak. And then lahirlah generasi macam ni. Kau rasa macam tu kah ataupun?
I think ya. Sebab kan mungkin time zaman-zaman dulu lah kan. Not dulu lah, because I'm also facing the same thing. My parents is very strict, to be honest. So, I think the main problem is kita punya orang-orang, I mean parents, kan. Mungkin dorang punya type of parenting is wrong. Sebab dorang lebih menjurus kepada western style. I mean, you have to, you have to accept the reality that we are in Asia.
Yeah,
Kan?
true.
Asia have its own way on mendidik anak-anak. So, kalau kita mau didik anak-anak, Asia sama Western lain.
Memang lain.
Lain. Mungkin Western kau cakap satu kali, terus orang tidak buat sudah kali Tapi kalau kita punya gene ni, kita punya dia lain sikit.
Yeah, unless satu kaligus semua budak-budak kena layan macam tu, buat macam eksperimen. Tapi ini tidak, macam satu orang kena sayang, lepas tu di sekeliling dia masih kena marah kan? Ataupun ada yang masih silap, dia punya ibu bapa masih uneducated, masih lagi tempiling anak dia. Lepas tu dia rasa macam, saya kena sayang dan dia tidak. Kok macam mana kau kena piara dulu?
Time dulu saya kena piara.
Rotan kah?
Itu jangan cakap. Memang confirm ada. Confirm ada. Because dulu when I was young kan, my mom is a very busy person bah. Same goes with my dad. So most of the time kan I'm being taken care of by my auntie. So since I'm the only child in the family, I'm the only child. Tunggal. So the only siblings that I have, the closest thing to the sibling punya figure yang saya ada is my cousins. So daripada saya punya auntie, daripada saya punya parents kan, kau salah, kau memang tetap salah. Tidak cakap mau kena kasih sayang kan, no. There's no such thing. Salah confirm lambat.
Tapi kau rasa itu membantu kau untuk lebih baik kah, ataupun kau rasa apa kesan dia dalam psikologi?
For me, I have two opinion tau. Kalau kita berfikir towards Western punya thinking kan, of course it's a bad thing lah. Tapi kalau kita fikir Asian way of thinking kan, budak-budak takut mau buat benda tu. Kau sudah kasih kena satu kali kan, memang dorang tidak mau buat sudah. And it will actually develop a personality of a child sampai dia besar, dia akan tahu whatever yang dia buat will have its own consequences. Yes. Jadi bila budak-budak sudah kena didik dari awal, jangan buat, and you will receive the consequences later. So in the future bila dorang sudah besar, dorang tidak akan actually buat benda yang pelik-pelik.
Kau rasa generasi Gen Z ni, Gen Z, apa beza yang paling utama dia, paling besar kalau kau bandingkan dengan yang previous generation?
I think first is treatment. Dia ada good and dia orang ada bagus dan tidak bagusnya lah. Yang dia punya bagus untuk Gen Z kan, dia punya difference dengan yang previous generation is dia orang ada access to everything nowadays. Kalau kita compare to gen yang sebelum dia lah. Tapi the bad thing is that number one is parenting. If parenting goes wrong, memang the future of the children will be wrong. That's number one. Kalau the next thing is kalau kita cakap pasal the student kah, the Gen Z punya anu kah, kalau kita bagi dia satu contoh lah, kita bagi dia satu benda mau buat. Okay? Kalau gen sebelum dia kan, kalau mungkin time dia kena parenting oleh dia punya parents, kau kasih dia satu benda mau buat kan, dia akan direct buat. Tapi kalau gen Z ni sekarang, kau bagi dia satu benda mau buat, dia akan banyak neglect. Mungkin dulu punya budak ada banyak neglect juga. Tapi bila dorang sudah tahu consequences dia macam mana, dia akan direct buat. So itu akan membentuk personality seseorang, and we can see the result now. Yeah.
Tapi dari segi result dia, kalau kau nampak yang generasi sebelum kamu lah, kan, contohnya macam kami ni lah, 30-an punya, late 30s punya generation. Kau rasa apa yang kau boleh bilang yang saya harap kami ada itu karakteristik macam dia orang?
Okay, kalau
sebagai Gen Z. Tapi sebelum tu kita tidak beritahu umur. Umur kau?
I'm 21 years old.
21 years old.
Very young.
Very young, tapi
Very young.
Sangat impress dengan kau punya dengan kau punya pencapaian lah.
Yes. I mean, for me, I have lots of things that I need to capai lagi lah on my list.
Nanti itu kita akan cakap.
Boleh.
Tapi kita teruskan dengan apa karakteristik generasi millennial ni yang kau rasa Gen Z sepatutnya ada.
Okay. So I bring you to a story. Sebab kan I have the experience of working bah. Jadi bila saya ada experience of bekerja kan, I work with everybody. No matter. Kadang-kadang ada orang saya punya dulu staff, dia satu umur dengan my mom. I mean even now, my desk mate is actually 65 years old. So I can see the difference. So apa yang saya mau cakap, the difference between the Gen Z and the millennial is that dorang punya tahan tukul tu. Tahan tukul. Sebab kalau millennial kan, kau ketuk dia macam mana sekalipun, kau kacau dia macam mana sekalipun, dorang still determined to actually achieve what they want to achieve. Tapi kalau our Gen Z, not that I want to hentam our own Gen Z lah. Me myself a Gen Z. Tapi kalau Gen Z zaman sekarang ni kan, sikit-sikit sudah kena sudah breakdown. So I hope that to tahan tukul tu. I'm not saying every Gen Z ni kan tidak tahan tukul. I do know lots of people yang, especially my friends lah kan, ada yang bekerja daripada malam sampai ke pagi, habis tu besok paginya masuk pergi kelas. I do know lots of people. Tapi majority of our Gen Zs nowadays, diorang dah tahan tukul. Kena bagi, kena kasih jentik sikit, sudah melenting,
lepas tu pandai komplain, lepas tu pandai mengadu.
Sebab diorang ada access of everything kan. Diorang sejak macam mana mau komplain something.
Itu tools, diorang ada tools sekarang. Saya perasan diorang ada tools. Knowledge diorang sangat tinggi, sampai diorang rasa diorang cukup tools untuk komplain orang, cukup tools untuk kasih balas dendam sama orang. Macam itulah, especially kalau kena denda lah, contohnya kena denda dalam kelas. Kalau time kami dulu kan, kalau kena denda tu memang kami takut sudah, cikgu denda, dan kami tidak ada fikiran lain yang jaga ni cikgu nanti nanti saya balas di luar. Tidak. Saya perasan student sekarang kan dia macam ada tu fikiran yang kau di kelas saja kau lecture ataupun kau cikgu, di luar saya tidak mau tengok kau. Macam tu bah. So dia orang ada tu ego dia, ego tersendiri kan. So mungkin itu disebabkan oleh access to knowledge lah juga. Sebab generasi sekarang buka-buka aja, lahir-lahir aja ada handphone, ada internet, ada komputer. Kami adalah generasi terakhir yang baru masih sakai dengan komputer yang sorry menggunakan perkataan sakai, sebab sebenarnya itu incorrect, correctness, politically incorrect. Politically incorrect untuk guna, tapi kita sudah biasa pakai. Kami adalah generasi pertama yang yang merasa kehidupan yang tiada handphone, even internet. Bukan pertama saya bilang tadi tuh. The last generation yang hidup without internet. Generation after us,
It's the first lah.
the first lahir, terus kena handphone ataupun maksud kalau kamu mungkin kamu pernah rasa kayak yang
Takan-takan.
tekan-tekan.
I mean, my
Yang
time
before ada
takan-takan.
tekan-tekan.
No, because during my kan bila my first phone is yang takan-takan.
Okay.
Ada antena lagi.
Mungkin ada satu soalan yang boleh indicate lah.
Mhm.
Kamu pernah nampak public phone yang masih berfungsi?
I think we still do actually. Tapi
Ada.
not on public lah.
Yang pakai shilling?
Yes, tapi di sekolah.
Di sekolah lah,
Yes, di
masih
sekolah.
berfungsi lah?
Masih berfungsi. So, the students kan dapat pakai bawa phone.
Okay.
Yang mau terpaksa. Tapi, kalau cakap pasal di luar tu memang sudah tidak ada lah.
Tidak ada.
Mungkin during kami masih budak dalam 2 years old, still ada. Tapi after that memang tidak sudah.
Ya.
Hmm.
Mari kita bercakap pasal kau punya pencapaian lah. Sebab mungkin orang tertanya-tanya juga apa juga pencapaian dia yang impress saya betul. So imagine umur 21 tahun. Umur saya 21 tahun saya masih study lah. Dan sekarang kau 21 tahun sudah. And then you achieve a few milestone masa belasan tahun,
Yes.
I guess. So can you tell me a little bit
So-
yang boleh lah.
Yang boleh lah.
Yeah.
So, well, since 2019, after I finish my SPM kan, I think I only have like 3 to 4 days of like cuti in my entire life.
After SPM.
After SPM, then I go look around for jobs, and I landed on the telco company lah in KK. So I worked there for more than 4 years actually. Then I got the position that I can supervise lot of stores. I also can supervise staffs and everything. I think the game changer for my personality is when I gained the knowledge and experience when I was working with the telco company, one of the telco company. And then the funny thing is, when I was working, I also becoming a student. So
So double kerja lah.
double kerja. And then it doesn't end there tau. I'm also the president for the student council.
Yeah.
So I manage over 1,700 students I think at the time. And also I have to focus on my studies. And also I have to focus on my work. It's quite tiring lah, but you know.
Apa kau punya motivation untuk buat tu semua? Yang kau sudah ada kerja and then on top of that you have to study and then kau sengaja lagi pergi ambil jawatan presiden untuk student council.
I think there's a saying, this is from my mom lah. When I was failing my exams during my sekolah menengah, sekolah rendah, my mom always say this one thing. Everybody will happy to see you fail. Dia bilang, semua orang akan suka tengok kau fail. Serious. If you fail, the entire family will fail. Because of why? You are the only child. You cannot harap your cousin all the time. Because at the end, they are still cousins.
Yeah.
I'm the only child of the family. Macam mana sekalipun, I have to succeed. I mean, it's a good thing that I fail first. Tapi I have to take the lesson lah.
Ya, tapi macam how strong is kau punya itu intensity untuk kau takut gagal, yang adakah dia itulah yang menyebabkan kau push diri kau untuk buat banyak benda, ataupun is that the fear yang made you do those things, or just to prove to people that you are somebody?
I think both lah. So kan, to be honest, I'm surrounded by people who like to be there, tapi also like to see me fail. Yeah, I'm surrounded by those people, and also surrounded by people who are really lovely, of course. To be honest, so
budak-budak sudah ada perasaan macam tu lah.
yes, to be honest.
Belasan tahun lah, bukanlah cakap budak-budak. So belasan tahun kau sudah realize bahawa ada orang yang want to see you fail, ada orang yang kau boleh categorize sudah, oh orang-orang begini, orang yang mau. So adakah orang-orang itu orang yang sebaya dengan kau ataupun orang yang sudah tua dari kau?
Lagi tua dari saya. Because kan they see me and when they see my results, to be honest, let me tell you something. My results during my UPSR wasn't that good. Because my mom sent me to Chinese school. I don't have a Chinese background. So when they sent me to Chinese school, it just totally lost for me. So I wasn't like actually get a really good result, especially on UPSR. So the thing that when people saw my UPSR slip kan, the thing dorang cakap kan is, ni budak dia pergi mana-mana ni.
Memang genetik sudah begini.
Yes, memang genetik. Ini bahasa kasar lah. Can we say it? Bahasa kasar bodoh. Yes. Tapi bila saya terdengar tu,
orang cakap lah betul-betul.
Yes, I don't want to mention who lah, but if they watch this video, you know, it's you lah. But to be honest, memang it breaks my mom down lah. So, but time tu kan, my mom doesn't actually smack me ka, doesn't yell at me ka, but she tell me to sit down, that we have a talk, dia bilang. No matter what you do in life, never, ever, 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 ever fail. You can fail, but you have to learn the lesson. When you already have learned the lesson, don't do it again. And that's what I do. I've learned my lesson, especially in UPSR. I improved better in PMR. And SPM, I got a really good result actually. And not just SPM. When I go to uni, I think I get a very good pointer ba juga. That's what I'm trying to prove to people.
So, kau rasa perubahan itu adalah disebabkan oleh memang kau faham apa yang your mom told you?
Yes.
Memang masuk dalam hati?
Menusuk kalbu orang bilang.
Ataupun secara subconscious saja?
To be honest, memang sebab kan dari
sebab
saya kecil.
Sebab saya imagine darjah 6, kau duduk sama mama kau, lepas tu mak kau bagi tahu benda-benda philosophical macam ni kan. Kalau macam darjah 6 macam belum
faham lah kan.
Belum faham lah. Kalau macam saya imagine masa saya darjah 6, macam mana pun tu counselor bagi tahu saya, okey, usaha tangga jaya, kalau kita tidak berusaha kita akan gagal gitu kan. Saya apa orang cakap ni? Gitu. So memang for you it really hit you in the core lah.
Sebab kenapa is memang saya dari kecil lagi kan, my parents, my mom lah especially, she always tells me about reality. Memang saya dari kecil lagi, if we have this problem, contoh lah, this is just a contoh. Mungkin kalau kami ada financial problem, on the spot dia cakap kita ada this financial problem, so you have to understand no more toys for the next few months. That is my mom. And during starting with UPSR, when she tells me that kind of macam philosophy and everything kan, I do understand everything, and I do hear apa yang orang cakap di belakang.
So umur kau budak tu kau ada sudah perasaan yang kalau kau nak cakap bodoh kan, yang macam
yes,
I'll prove them wrong.
Yes.
Macam tu. Ada sudah lah.
Yes.
Memang budak-budak kau ada sudah lah.
Yes, rebellion sudah.
Kau deep thinker sudah lah.
Yes, to be honest, yes. Sebab time saya masih kecil pun semua, I think during I was like 5 tahun 6 tahun kan, memang saya bercakap macam orang biasa.
Besar sudah.
Yeah, sebab my auntie ka, even my mom kan boleh bercerita masalah kami masing-masing. Boleh cerita mungkin mengumpat biasa-biasa, tapi mostly is about deep talk usually.
Wow.
I think parenting is number 1 lah.
Kan? Yeah. Bila bercakap pasal kejayaan ataupun kehebatan seseorang lah kan, kalau masih muda dan masih budak, selalu kena kasih kait kalau orang kaya memang dia punya cara hidup akan membentuk anak dia menjadi orang kaya juga kan.
Yes, betul.
Tapi yang kita mau misteri dari sini adalah macam mana cara kalau kau bukan dari orang kaya,
betul,
tapi kau berjaya didik anak kau dari kecil, yang nampak dia punya perubahan berfikir. So macam mana keluarga kau punya, kalau boleh share lah, macam di mana level kamu punya keluarga dari segi
financial lah. To be honest, we are just moderate lah. Moderate. Tak juga susah betul, tak juga senang betul. We just moderate.
Cuma kamu memang akan bincang tentang
Yes.
duit juga lah kan.
Bincang pasal duit, that's number one. Time kami masih budak kan, memang sudah kena kasih faham duit macam mana situasi, what is happening within my mom's pocket, my father's pocket. And kalau mungkin ada masalah dengan family kah, memang confirm terus cakapnya. Dia tidak lagi selindung-selindung. So what I terperasan lah dengan anu kan, some parents kalau macam diorang ada masalah kan, diorang try to actually cover it up for their children.
Ya.
So konon-konon diorang tiap mau diorang punya children stress.
Ya.
Tapi mungkin mungkin betul-betul budak tu stress. Tapi for me kan, it's a good thing for me lah. So dia dapat membentuk saya punya diri, that I understand that we have this problem. It's actually membentuk my personality lah in the future being. So I do understand that we have this problem. Macam mana kita mau encounter this in the future, and how I want to avoid this in the future, especially for my children.
Dan memang parents kau akan
Direct.
dan cakap kau macam orang
Yes.
satu level dengan orang. Mungkin itulah dia punya secret kan?
I think so.
Kan dia tidak baby talk kau
No.
all the way kan?
No. Tidak baby talk. Since I can remember, there's no baby talk in my family.
See. Mungkin itulah juga saya rasa. Berapa umur parents?
My mom is 47. My father supposed to be 47 as well.
47.
Yes.
So sekarang only with your mom lah.
Yes.
Okay, so salah satu tujuan kita juga bercakap di sini adalah sebab kau punya leadership yang agak impressive juga, dan kau punya pencapaian yang baru-baru ni sekarang kau sedang praktikal di satu tempat,
private
kan?
hospital lah.
Private hospital. Then this is another thing yang quite impressive also lah, because your field of study is actually in healthcare.
Yes.
But more on
Now
admin kan.
Yes, betul.
And then kau masuk pergi hospital bidang
Lain.
clinical. So macam mana tu?
Well, to be honest, if you were asking how do I cope with it, I'm very fine with it actually. Tapi memang lari bidang lah.
Tapi dari segi knowledge kau rasa kau cukup untuk cope, atau kau memang start from zero dari sana?
To be honest, I do have some knowledge because before I actually went into that department, I actually do some research too lah, and I do macam-macam, not just some actually. I took 2 days untuk baca the tender, the vendors and everything. That's number one. And number two is, kalau mau cakap start from zero, yes, mungkin juga. And I appreciate the juga lah, my colleagues kan, the staffs over there. They are being really helpful on that. And then it's easy for me to actually to navigate around and to do my work lah. At first memang dia susah, to be honest. Tapi that's part of learning lah. Because dulu pun when I was 19 at that time, 17 at that time, baru masuk DG, I also zero. Tidak apa-apa knowledge pasal telco company. So bila saya masuk pergi I mean it's a chance of learning lah. Bila masuk this field.
Memang kau suka learning lah.
Yes, I love to learn, to be honest.
Ya, itu sama kau punya pencapaian dalam umur kau 21 tahun. Kau sudah 4 tahun menjadi macam level agak tinggi dalam telco company itu. And then kau berjaya habiskan kau punya diploma dengan baik. And then sekarang kau study lain bidang lagi.
Yes.
On top of that, kau buka satu business lagi. And speaking of business, dia ada satu produk minyak wangi. Dan spesialnya minyak wangi ini bukan sponsored ad nah. Dia punya brand adalah apa nih?
Aarongerald.co.
Aaron Gerald, dan ini adalah dia punya
Dia punya tuh fragrance punya nama.
Fragrance lah. So lain-lain fragrance dia akan lain nama. Ini adalah Seductiva.
Yes.
Seductiva. Wow. And then all are made from here.
Yes.
Sabah.
Sabah made actually.
Pen.
Ya. Ya ini. Zoom. Seductiva.
Aktiva.
Ya. And then kejap. Okay.
Terbalik.
Udah lah.
Oh,
Oops.
phone pula tu.
Is it good?
Delightful.
Thank you.
Sudah? Okay. So, ini bila kau buka sudah?
Okay, so it's been 5 months in operation. So we opened on the 7th of May this year. I mean, to be honest, this is our first baby. This is our first baby, and there's a lot of improvement that need to be made lah. But for youth punya business, I think it's a successful punya product, to be honest. And we sold out we have two actually, Seductiva and Enigma. So we finished out our Enigma, and this is the only left.
Kenapa fragrance?
Well, to be honest, ceritanya lucu. Okay, we have this event dekat college at that time. I think we are conducting the orientation.
Okay.
So me and my business partner was walking around talking about business lah. And kami smell something. Bokepet.
What?
Bau ketiak.
Okay.
Bau ketiak.
Bau pepet ke
Nah, bau ket. Bau kepet orang bilang. Orang Sabah bilang bau kepet.
Okay. Ketiak lah.
Bau ketiak. So, this business actually started as a joke lah. Saya cakap sama saya punya business partner, Mr. Gerald, shout out to you. Dia bilang, bos kita buat bisnes business perfume. Banyak nih kita punya customer. Saya bilang, kau tengok nih, berapa banyak budak di sini. Kalau kita jual 40 perfume, berapa seuntung kita? Started as a joke, and then we take it to another level. Masuk pergi perbincangan, and then looking for supplier, doing for our R&D and everything. And then this is our finished product. To be honest, it's still a lot of work lagi yang perlu kena buat lah lagi lah. Especially on the packaging.
Daripada perbincangan kamu tu, bau kepet tu, sampai bungkus berapa lama?
It took us around 3 months.
3 months?
3 months.
R&D pun semua?
Not including R&D lah. R&D took us around 2 months.
2 months.
5 months in total lah. So we started to talk about this during, I think, November, last year.
Okay. November last year. So, proses kamu cari design untuk packaging,
Yes.
cari botol, cari dia punya isi, macam mana kamu mula dan macam mana how the process goes?
So that's why I said kan, kita punya Gen Z ni kan, kalau dia pandai guna dia punya teknologi kan, senang. YouTube boleh, Google, Mr. Google kau macam-macam boleh keluar. So
semua itu kamu learn dari sana lah.
That's number 1. Number 2 is the most important thing is networking. How do you actually create a business is by networking.
Yeah.
Mungkin you can rely on Google some, but when we are looking for packaging, we face a problem that we cannot find a supplier. Kalau kami jumpa supplier pun mungkin harga dia lagi tinggi. So it will cost us production punya cost, harga base dia, and then mungkin kami punya untung kurang sikit. So we want to cari mungkin supplier yang boleh package the perfume in a cheaper way but in a good quality. And by networking, this is our finished product, to be honest.
Nice.
Actually, if you were to start something, memang I recommend networking.
Macam mana networking tu boleh create produk begini?
Well, networking ni kan dia bukan just kau berkenal sama orang. Bila contoh lah, I berkawan with you lah. I need videographer. So mungkin you ada kenalan videographer, you can refer me to Smart Bus Studio.
Yeah.
That's the flow lah.
Yeah,
Networking. So kalau macam if
so
you
kau kenal dengan orang yang buat kotak, kenal dengan orang yang buat
we have to
perfume.
kenal lah juga.
Yeah. Dan learn from them lah.
Yes, of course. Kami kena learn because our product kan, the uniqueness of our product kan, it's entirely made in Sabah. We don't actually like import it from anywhere else. Because that's what we want to achieve on our products. Sebab bila kami fikirkan when we want to launch a product kan mesti ada something yang membezakan produk kami ni dengan yang lain.
Ya mesti ada selling point lah
Selling
orang
point,
bilang
yes,
kan.
betul. So the selling point is we in Sabah. Why not we find
Yeah.
suppliers here, manufacturer here, kan? Why not?
Sekarang persoalan dia, kenapa 90% orang yang satu umur dengan kamu tidak pandai buat?
Well, to be honest kan, number satu is dorang takut untuk mencuba. Usually kan, especially in business, not just about Gen Zs, it's actually everybody. Dorang takut untuk mencuba. Nombor satu is dorang punya dalam fikiran dorang kan, what if kalau kita buat ni produk tidak orang mau beli, berapa banyak kita punya rugi. There's always what if.
What if in the negative way?
Yes, negative way. Tapi the point yang dorang missed is that what if in positive way. What if kalau kita launch this product, kita dapat jual this amount, we will get this amount. Not just our Gen Zs, to be honest. More it's actually lebih meluas kepada the entire generation in this country lah. Tapi untuk Gen Z sendiri, yes, dorang takut untuk mencuba.
Takut mencuba. Ataupun tidak terbayang langsung untuk buat lebih baik daripada yang status quo ni.
Mungkin juga, tapi mostly dorang ni complicated sikit. Very complicated. Some mungkin dorang ada minat mau buat, tapi dorang tidak tahu macam mana mau buat, and dorang tidak effort macam mana mau cari buat.
Tidak effort untuk
Yes.
mau learn kan?
Yes.
Ya, sebab
Yeah.
terlampau attention lagi satu.
Yeah.
Attention span lagi satu masalah.
Kan.
Kan dengan TikTok ni, kalau ada saja workshop 2 jam setengah kan, kau imagine sudah lamanya mau kasih habis ni course gitu.
Kan.
Even kelas tu pun begitu
Kan.
juga. Macam kalau 2 jam kelas kan, 1 jam saja tu cukup. Lepas tu yang lain, okay, bila lagi mau buat, boleh mau buat ni. Sekarang saya punya kelas kan, saya ada kelas jam 5 sampai 8, 3 hours.
3 hours.
Saya perlu kasih masuk karaoke.
Untuk kasih hidup dorang.
Untuk kasih hidup balik di tengah-tengah. Okay, first, saya start dengan music. Nah, sementara dorang masuk supaya ada itu semangat. Sebab petang kan sudah. Memang kau expect yang memang
Layu
otak
sudah.
tu layu sudah. And then kasih bunyi music supaya ada mood. And then break every 30 minutes. Okay, apa lagu? 30 minutes. Kasih main lah. Lagu, request lagu. Okay, kasih main.
I mean, that's genius, to be honest. So kan, if you want to deal with Gen Z kan, modern problem, we need a modern solution. That's a solution lah, to be honest.
Yeah, because I imagine yang the level of kebosanan yang diorang rasa tu kan, mesti dong perlu benda yang lain lah daripada yang lain untuk stimulate lah.
Betul.
Okay, sekarang belasan tahun kerja manager telco, lepas tu study, and then sekarang ada product. Quite impressive. Now kau venture lagi satu benda, iaitu leadership. Okay, to be specific, kau sedang berkempen untuk Dewan Belia.
Yes, betul.
Kan? Dewan Belia. Boleh terangkan ini Dewan Belia apa, dan dari apa yang organize, jabatan mana yang organize, dan apa dia punya tujuan. Dan
Okay, so first of all, I'm running for the seats for N19 Likas, N19 Likas actually. So what is Dun Belia Likas? This Dun Belia Likas is actually organized by Majlis Belia Sabah with the cooperation of Dewan Undangan Negeri Sabah and also the cooperation with KBS, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan. And how does we work is the same thing. Kita pernah dengar pasal anu kah? Parlimen Belia Malaysia. Have you ever heard of it? Okay, it's the same thing. For in federal punya level, we have 222 seats for the youth to actually have a parliamentary session every month. They will have a parliamentary session every month, and they can talk about lots of problems, especially involving youth, economical problem, and socialized problem and everything lah. Semua boleh. And whatever things that they want to brought up. So this is actually the first that the state government agree with the cooperation with MBS, with the cooperation with DUN and everybody else, that they do the same thing in the federal punya level,
Pergi.
bring it here to to the DUN. So in Sabah we have 73 Dewan Undangan Negeri.
Dia ikut dengan DUN sebenar?
DUN sebenar, yes. So we have 73 in the entire state of Sabah, and we have 284 candidates currently running. And I'm running at the orang cakap paling besar punya pencalonan.
Berapa penjuru tu? 8
8 penjuru. I was like, oh my god. I didn't expect that, to be honest. Because kan they actually ada satu period of time dari 1 hari bulan, if I was not mistaken lah, correct me if I'm wrong. Dari 1 September sampai 21st of September kalau tidak silap, diorang buka untuk pencalonan and pendaftaran untuk pemilih. And then at that time they only have like 3,000 plus pengundi, and then only berapa? Tidak semua DUN tu yang ada candidates. So what do? Is they extend the period of registration. And then guess what?
Sekali berdatangan semua.
We have 282 candidates, 38,400 something dia punya voters. Yeah, from 3,000 something to 38,000. Imagine that. That's actually showing that our Sabahan youth actually eager for something, especially in politics, to be honest.
Apa requirement untuk jadi candidate?
Candidate 18 to 25 years old. No, sorry, 18 to 35 years old. And then you must be Sabahan. And you need to have a valid IC lah. That's all.
Tidak perlu ada jawatan di kelab belia mana-mana. No.
Tidak juga like specific requirement lah. I mean, everybody can actually be calon, but there's only 282 yang berani to go forward.
Kau rasa apa objektif utama dia ni? Bukan kau rasa lah, memang kau tahu lah saya rasa. So apa objektif? Adakah dia macam mirror itu DUN sebenar, tapi dalam peringkat belia, ataupun untuk polish new leaders untuk take over politik Sabah in the future? Macam
actually
mana?
both actually. Dua-dua boleh jadi sebenarnya. Dia boleh polish, dia boleh actually mirror what is going on with the actual DUN. Sebab kenapa? The current DUN kan mungkin dia orang ada slack sikit lah, mungkin pasal dia orang punya kawasan, mungkin dia orang ada some place yang dia orang tidak actually take care of, mungkin tidak ternampak, terskip, who knows kan. Jadi us as ahli Dewan Undangan Negeri untuk belia, is our job mainly is kasih alert to DUN. Kau tidak tengok ini. You should do this. Membantu, yes, of course. And then number 2 is menyuarakan suara-suara belia. For my place in Likas, what I want to ketengahkan is that I want to ketengahkan suara-suara belia Likas yang tidak dapat main dekat Stadium Likas, dekat kita punya the heart, the center of sports in Sabah. Dekat kita punya kompleks sukan Likas sendiri. Because kan, what do I see Likas, especially on the sports complex kan, memang kita ada facility yang cukup, even though we have a very poor maintenance, to be honest. Tapi kan our own youth of Likas cannot actually enjoy what is being offered by kompleks sukan Likas. Sebab everything is monopolied by the elites punya sports. Sebab if you go to pergi stadium lah, the main stadium, to be honest, to be exact, the main stadium kena guna untuk Sabah FC. Kalau untuk ada event besar. Kalau ada event kecil pun, the last week when I do my walkabout pun, dia ada international match untuk klub-klub sekolah di Sabah ni versus dengan klub-klub sekolah di luar negara. Australia, Philippines was there last week. So the gap for our youth yang di Likas ni kan untuk guna facility tu kurang. And if you go forward sikit, pergi gymnasium, kita punya gymnastik di sana, dojo sana, semua sudah kena monopoli oleh our own elites, to be honest. So what I want to do is I want to voice out the voices of our youth in Likas. Give them chance. Because di Likas kan bukan setakat atlet yang berkualiti tinggi. If you go to mungkin few hundred meters from Stadium Likas, you can see ada sekolah sukan, ada sekolah SMK Likas. You know SMK Likas. Shout out to you guys. SMK Likas during my year, I don't know now lah. Dorang punya tu hockey team is really powerful, you know. And I don't know if they can get sampai state level ke mana-mana. Tapi if dorang ni kena kasih boost dorang punya tu mungkin training ke
Melalui
exposure.
facilities
Yes.
punya access.
We can go another level because if you can see kan especially on our athlete, Sabahan athlete, younger athlete, they can actually achieve a lot of things. Kita sudah masuk macam-macam international punya cups.
Ya. Dari mata saya sendiri sebagai orang awam pun kan, nampak saja stadium Likas kan yang mesti bayar tiket baru boleh masuk nih.
Yes.
Itulah sebenarnya mindset dari dulu lagi.
Yes, mindset. Tapi in the truth is that it's still open, tapi ada restriction lah.
Ya, restriction.
Memang
Of course,
every
dia kena jaga tu padang juga.
betul lah, betul juga. Yes. Just that we need more exposure for our youth lah. Especially dekat Likas. And number 2 is when I'm talking about racing in Likas kan. I want to talk about the infrastructure, especially within Likas itself. To be honest, I'm a college student based in Likas. So even from the college management themselves, keep asking me if I can actually voice out the zebra crossing in front of our college. And I do a lot of times kan, banyak kali saya minta tolong dengan macam-macam MPs, Duns and everyone. But the response is very very slow. So the first thing that if diberi peluang untuk berkhidmat untuk the youth of Likas, the first thing is that I'm going to settle down with Lembaga Sukan Sabah to talk about the facilities, the management, and number 2 is the infrastructure itself. Not just roads lah. It's more like the safety within Likas itself.
Ya, perlu, sangat perlu. Sebab dekat dengan KK sudah betul.
Yeah.
Dan orang pun ramai kan.
Betul.
So ini benda di negeri-negeri lain pun dorang buat ke ataupun Sabah saja?
For now, in my own knowledge, tidak semua buat.
So,
Tidak semua buat actually. Sabah is one. I think Pahang they also do it. And I think that's all for now. I think Selangor in the development of doing the same thing lah. But I don't. Mungkin ada some process that I have to go through because in order for you to do this, you have to get the green light from everybody juga. You cannot just do it. Kan?
Personally, apa yang kau mau capai dalam ini undian ni?
Personally, in terms of
apa yang kau mau capai sebagai kau mau learn something in terms of leadership, or you want to build connection with the politician or anything?
Well, I think I would like to go both. So number 1 is when again I'm a person that is very observant, that really like to actually do networking. So it's a very good thing if we can actually have a really good relationship with everybody in Dewan Undangan Negeri. So in the future time, kalau macam contoh lah, if we need something, mungkin infrastructure punya helps kah or anything kan, we know who to find bah.
Dan kau ada voice lah.
Yes. Number 2 is I want to be the leader of Likas so that I can voice out diorang punya actual problem, because I think it's been terlampau lama sudah bah. The voices of the youth kena kasih silent. I mean, there's one term kan yang diorang cakap kan, Malaysia is the country for old men. Yes, sebab why the youth actually kan tidak dapat mungkin bagi jadi ketua to a party in this country, to be honest.
Tunggu meninggal dulu baru.
Yes. Sebab you see, now we have 3 blocks of government. 3 blocks of politics ya. So kita tengok ketiga-tiga ni kan, adakah yang muda? I don't think so. The main lah. The others still tidak banyak lagi lah dorang punya attention dorang dapat. Tapi the main yang kita ada semua is 70 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus.
Senior.
Yes, if we go to other countries like United Kingdom, they are like a new prime minister, Rishi Sunak. He's like 47 plus. And if you go to Canada, Justin Trudeau, 40 plus. If you go to New Zealand, yang paling dekat dengan kita, Jacinda Ardern, 40 plus. Not 40 plus, 30 plus to be honest. See, why other country, memang developed country can do it, why us cannot?
Itulah. Ya, perlu juga kan. Berapa lama sudah?
Berapa lama sah?
Is it good? Oh.
6 more minutes. Alright, last question. Oh, atau sebelum kau mau cakap apa yang kita tidak tercover tadi lah. Last question. Within dalam masa 10 tahun, kau jadi apa?
Okay, very very tricky question to be
Dengan
honest.
keadaan kau sekarang ni, dengan mindset kau sekarang, I wonder apa yang jadi sama kau 10 tahun akan datang.
10 tahun yang akan datang, I thought about this a lot actually. I want to be somebody who owns a business, to be honest. I want my business is running, and if given the opportunity, I want to serve the people, to be honest. Because serving the people is one of my passion. And we're actually recording this on 6th of October. And the result is going to come out tomorrow. Very funny.
Untuk
Yeah, we are filming this on 6th, so the result is on 7th.
oh sudah mengundi lah ni.
Sudah mengundi.
So tidak bilang mau berkempen lah ni kan?
No, there's no campaign
Yeah,
anymore.
alright.
So I think if dibagi peluang oleh the youth of Likas and the youth of Sabah to actually leave Likas kan, I don't think that you have to worry about anything, because rest assured anything that I promise on my manifesto is not like macam bagaikan bulan janji bintang semua. No.
Realistic lah.
All realistic, because I know my capability, I know my capacity as, adun belia. You cannot go like extend to that certain part, sebab you are just adun belia.
Kau ada cita-cita untuk jadi politician?
To be honest, ada, if given the opportunity. To be honest.
Kau rasa kau boleh jadi politician?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident about it. It's just that, well, I'm still young. There's a lot of learning that needs to be done.
For sure, but kau potential memang adalah.
But in 10 years, I do see myself as a business owner. So I don't have to actually stuck with, working with somebody else. Giving them wealth, kan? Macam kita cerita tadi, kan?
Yeah.
Kan? Itulah tu.
Ya, memang kita akan perlu bekerja untuk certain time untuk create the fund to build our own.
Right, I do very agree about that.
Ada kata-kata terakhir yang kamu sampaikan, kongsikan? Mungkin kepada Gen Z sebagai contoh.
Alright.
Kita bermula dengan Gen Z, kita akhirkan dengan
Gen Z kan.
Gen Z lah.
So for first untuk Likas dulu lah. Well, kita masih lagi kan in the process of choosing. So tadi kita cakap if I win, but if I don't, I think you don't have to worry about anything. I believe that anybody who's going to be elected is going to be able to actually carry out the duty. Because I've seen dorang punya manifestos and everything. If anybody's, instead of me win, then just put the trust on that person. And this is a democratic country, so you just have to accept it. And we just move forward. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. And then for Gen Zs, for Gen Zs yang tadi tu.
For Gen Z out there.
For Gen Zs out there, sekarang kan is the correct time if you want to move 3 or 4 step ahead from anybody else. Everybody else. If you move like 3 to 4 step with everybody else, you will thank me later.
So, akhir kata, terima kasih, Aaron.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
So young, but so sangat jauh bukan perjalanan, jauh pandangan. So boleh dijadikan contoh kepada kami juga dan generasi-generasi akan datang. Alright, thank you guys.
Alright.
See you next episode. Bye.
Bye.